Bloomberg Audio Studios.
Podcasts, radio, news.
I'm Stephen Carroll, and this is Here's Why, where we take one news story and explain it in just a few minutes with our experts here at Bloomberg. Now, it's a pretty bland name for something aspiring to be the most important political blueprint in America. Project 2025 is getting plenty of attention.
Their campaign is Project 2025. It is taking away reproductive freedom across this country.
Donald Trump is also trying to distract people. He wants to direct attention away from his record and his Project 2025 plan.
The plan's stated goal is to rescue the US from the, quote, grip of the radical left. Its architects want it to be the policy framework for Donald Trump if he wins re-election in November. The Republican nominee has tried to distance himself from it, though, but the Democrats want Trump to be linked to its more radical ideas. In a sign of how politically sensitive it's become, the man who directed it, Paul Danza, stepped down after criticism from Trump. So here's why Project 2025 has America's attention. Our senior editor, Wendy Benjaminson, joins us from Washington for more. Hi, Wendy. So tell us, first of all, who is behind Project 2025?
Well, this was led by the Heritage Foundation, which is a long-standing conservative think tank in Washington. It rose to power really during the Reagan administration in one of those very sort of old-school conservative things. And it has evolved along with the Republican Party into sort of a MAGA organization. But they were joined by 100 conservative groups around the country that wanted to sort of hand Donald Trump a to-do list for his presidency. And the policy it ranged all over the place, from really, really extreme to things that Donald Trump has said that have long been conservative doctrine.
So what's going to happen to it now that Paul Danza is gone?
Well, I'm not really sure, because one of the funny things about this is that even though Trump has said some of the policies are ridiculous and all of that, the trouble is a lot of them are the things he says every time he gets in front of a microphone, to have mass deportations of illegal immigrants, to get rid of federal agencies that he doesn't like, to politicize the federal bureaucracy. One of the major points that he disagrees with him on is abortion. Donald Trump has never been a really strong anti-abortion person. He's a New Yorker, all of that. But he has adopted a more liberal, if you will, stance on abortion because he wants to win the election. And America is 2/3 to 3/4 in favor of some abortion rights. And this one calls for absolutely no abortions and mandated by Congress.
So is that the sort of dilemma that he's facing, that even though this project very neatly puts together, as you say, lots of things that he said before, there are things that he doesn't like? Or is it about him not accepting the premise that this is a blueprint that's being handed to him, or a to-do list?
Honestly, I think what's happening is he's running from it because the Democrats are quite effectively wrapping it around his neck, right? They're saying this is what Donald Trump is going to bring to the country. Look here, and you'll see the Trump administration, laid out in front of you for 2024 to 2028. Some of them are very extreme. One of them would limit the powers of the federal agency called OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, that keeps workers safe on their jobs. It would not only limit their power, but allow minors to do inherently dangerous work, allow child dangerous labor in this country again. So there are parts of it that he's saying, come on, I'm not going to do that. But he actually hasn't specified what he will and will not do. It's just that the Democrats have so perfectly wrapped this around his neck and said, this is what you're going to get.
So this is, in a lot of ways, a very useful political tool for the Democrats, as you've outlined. Surely they don't want to see Project 2025 jettisoned for now.
And they're not going to let it happen. They are going to continue to open this big gift box that the Heritage Foundation gave them. And every day, every rally, every ad is going to mention Project 2025 and all of the really startling policies in it, which include the U.S. military conducting mass deportations of supposedly illegal immigrants. Who knows how many people could get wrapped up in mass deportations. It gets rid of the Department of Education. The most scary thing in it is that it politicizes the federal bureaucracy so that even administrative assistants in the Department of Energy or a biologist at the Environmental Protection Agency would have to be loyal to Donald Trump, not to the people of the United States. Those federal agencies are supposed to be staffed below the top levels with people who are working through across administrations. And the politicization of the federal bureaucracy would be quite a sea change for the United States.
But maybe another way that the Heritage Foundation and some of those behind Project 2025 might hope to have influence is in personnel terms, to try and get people into the key jobs if Donald Trump were to win the election. Is that perhaps how this agenda stays relevant?
Absolutely. That is how it would stay relevant. The people who wrote Project 2025, Paul Dance, it's Ben Carson, the former housing secretary, and other people who were extremely close to Trump in his first administration who wrote this. So presumably Trump will appoint some people who were involved in Project 2025 or simply agree with some of the policies in Project 2025. And so it can find its way into Americans' lives if Donald Trump is elected, no matter whether he says he likes it or not.
Okay, and that's one of the reasons that we might hear so much more about it over the next few months. Wendy Benjaminson in Washington, thank you so much for joining us. For more explanations like this one from our team of 2,700 journalists and analysts around the world, search for Quick Take on the Bloomberg website or Bloomberg Business app. I'm Stephen Carroll. This is Here's Why. I'll be back next week with more. Thanks for listening.